Okay, in this next episode, I'm not sure if you can see me from... It's going to be kind of dark when I do this. Story of Yumiko, my Japanese girlfriend. I had first met Yumiko while I was hotly pursuing another Japanese girl. The first time I'd met her was in a hall at St. Mary's University, and she had come up to me and asked me for advice on how to pronounce certain words. So I had agreed to help her, and something to do with planets and stars. She didn't know what the word stars was. But she had informed me that she was leaving Halifax in about 4 days, so I cut the pursuit off immediately. And oh my God, was this girl beautiful. But in 3 days' time, she showed up with Yumiko at the international gathering of international people. It's like a party or get-together. Sort of a meet and greet type of thing. Just a second, I gotta take this call. So I knew her friend, I saw her friend there and I greeted her, and Yumiko was standing beside her. So I decided, well, I'm not going to be ignorant towards this other girl, so I started talking to her, I said hi and everything. She just casually looked at me, and then they went off for the rest of the night. Took a seat somewhere. But I began to run into Yumiko. I ran into her the next day and wanted to talk to the super hot girl, so I talked to Yumiko too rather than ignore her. And it was from there that we began to become friends, because we kept running into each other on campus and saying hi. Eventually, Yumiko and I got together. She was more Japanese than any girl I'd ever met, to the point where she would carry along, instead of a purse, she had like a paper shopping bag that she used to carry on her wrist, a flowery, floral type of shopping bag. She'd put her books in and everything. It's really cute. She had the tiniest little hands. I remember her seeing me one time talking to another Japanese girl. She was very upset about that, very jealous. She wouldn't come over and talk, but told me later that she saw me talking to this Japanese girl, who later became a girlfriend. But I remember the first time I asked her out, the first date, I had said, let's go to the movie, and she agreed to show up. So I went to the library to wait for her to show up. And this girl who later became a Japanese girlfriend and her boyfriend at that time showed up, and they wanted to go for dinner at her house, but I couldn't do it because I was waiting for Yumiko to show up. And Yumiko didn't show up. I don't know if I was trying to be sarcastic or give her the best chance possible. I waited in that library for her for 3.5 hours, and she never showed up. And the thing is, that was the second time she did that. Like, she ditched me when I had a wedding at a friend's place. One of my friends was getting married, and Yumiko agreed to go as my date to the wedding. And what had happened was, this guy that she had really liked was having a goodbye party, and Yumiko had ditched me for the wedding to be at this party with this other guy. And It was a major insult. I don't know why I put up with it, but I did. And so I forgave her for that. She apologized, I forgave her, which I have to do. It's a matter of honor. And then there was this other guy, before we had hooked up, this other guy that she was interested in, who told her to her face that he wasn't interested in being with her, and that she was completely destroyed by that. She had been pursuing this guy, I guess, for a while. And I remember her coming to me just bawling her eyes out about it. And I guess I felt so bad for her that I think that's why we became closer, because of that incident. But the thing that wrecked it for us and brought it to an end was brought us to an end was I picked her up at school, dressed up really nice for her and everything, and she dressed up. I was taking her back to my place for dinner that I had made, prepared for her and myself. I'd cooked for us. And she wanted to go to a restaurant. And I remember we went back to my place right here on campus and went inside, and she wouldn't eat the dinner. She wanted to go to the restaurant. So she only picked through her food, didn't eat much of anything, maybe a slice of lettuce, put it aside later and ate it myself, but that was it. I realized that with this girl, it was my way or the highway. Every time she'd go to Japan or back home to visit her folks, she would send me or bring me gifts or mail me gifts from Japan. I have a lot of those in my storage now. I remember one time we're walking on campus, I was holding her hand, this tiny little hand, and we're walking up the steps to campus, and this Chinese girl was walking out the door as we were coming in, and she gave Yumiko the most evil, vile look. I mean, it was just pure hatred. And it brought back to mind to me that a lot of Chinese still viciously hate the Japanese people. They blame them for what happened in the war and the tortures and the deprivation. It carried on through several generations. And, even though Yumiko had nothing to do with the war, she was still being blamed by this girl for it. I remember she had a friend called Sachi. Sachi had a boyfriend who taught English to students, and somehow he and Sachi got together. Sachi went home first to Japan. He followed later. 9 months later, they had a baby, and I remember Yumiko showing me the pictures of the baby. And I said, well, when was the baby born? She said the baby was 11 months old. And I said, well, when did they meet up in Japan? And she said 11 months ago. And I said, oh, they didn't use condoms. They weren't even married. And Yumiko told me she was a traditional Japanese girl, which is why she ditched one guy because he wanted to have sex with her, and she wouldn't do that. She said she was traditional. She had to be married first. But because of that, Yumiko looked at me and laughed, and she said, oh no, she said, you shouldn't be thinking that way. I thought that was kind of sweet. After Yumiko left Halifax, for I think was the last time, went off, we stayed in contact. I wrote to her. Still send her Christmas cards. But she left off all contact with me after she got involved with this guy she told me about. She met in Japan. He was a traditional Japanese businessman. And I guess they got together and formed some kind of bond or relationship. And Yumiko, being the traditionalist, cut me off completely. I sent her a Christmas card, but I never get any reply back. I wish her all the best.
宝 きむしまま私の